Hi, thanks for joining us and welcome to the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South, Summer Celebration Lawn and Gardening Show at the West Tennessee Research and Education Center is a one-day adventure for gardening enthusiasts and anyone else who enjoys the outdoors. Today, we're going to give you a preview of Summer Celebration, including a cooking demonstration with this year's featured food, eggs. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South, so stay with us.
This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by Goodwin's Landscape and Garden Center in Germantown since 1943 and continuing to offer its plants for successful gardening with 7 greenhouses and 3 acres of plants, plus comprehensive landscape services. International Paper Foundation, the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Dr. Amy Elizer. Amy is the UT Extension Director in Madison County, and Carol Reese is here. Carol is the UT Extension Horticulture Specialist for West Tennessee. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
Good to be here.
This is going to be fun.
Yep. Cooking's always fun, Chris.
Cooking's always fun.
Absolutely.
All right, Doc, let's get started, okay?
Okay.
Summer celebration just around the corner. When is it? Where is it? And I understand there's going to be cooking demonstrations.
Absolutely. July 11th at the West Tennessee Research and Education Center in Jackson, Tennessee.
Okay.
We look forward to having everybody come up and see us.
All right. Now, is there a fee?
There is a $5 fee to get in the entire event.
Okay.
And it's nominal. It's a $5 fee. So it kind of helps to defray some of the additional costs that are incurred at the station to put on such an event.
Okay. Now, cooking demonstrations.
Yes.
What kind of demonstrations? What's the theme?
The theme is eggs.
Okay.
And
Eggs.
so we need to talk a little bit about our eggs. The wonderful thing about eggs, they're full of protein. They do have cholesterol, but they're pretty low in fat otherwise. And so they're a great protein source. So today I'm going to be making curried egg salad.
Okay,
curried egg
good.
salad.
I
So
can smell the eggs.
You can say, I know, and the curry and all the things we've got going on here. So what I have, I've already mixed together part of our eggs and some apple that I've roughly chopped.
Okay.
But I did want to talk a little bit about our eggs.
Sure.
Now, one of the things that I often, and Carol and I were talking about this on the way here, sometimes people say hard-boiled eggs.
Yes, they do.
It's really hard. Cooked eggs, the water's boiled, and the eggs cook in there. And so I have to kind of straighten people out.
I
Right? You know,
understand.
we are the UT Kitchen Divas, and we joke about that. But we like to throw in some handy cooking tips in addition to having fun.
Okay.
So the way that I like to hard cook my eggs.
Hard cook.
Bring my water to a boil, put the eggs in, put the top on, turn the electricity off, let it set there for about 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on the size of my eggs.
Okay.
Then drain the water off, and then for this one, I'll kind of show you everybody. The best way I know to peel our eggs is just crack them all around. I'd already done a little pre-cracking here.
All right.
I just simply take off all our shell and kind of throw it around there. Let me wipe it off here just a little bit since I'm not at my sink. And then I just, you can chop your eggs for a salad however you want, but I'm doing it this way today. And when we do that, we have our really easy egg that we can dump right into our curried egg salad. And so we got to bring our curry in. And what I have here is down in the bottom, I don't know if they can see it at home, but we've got non-fat yogurt, plain yogurt.
Okay.
And just about a tablespoon or less of mayonnaise, the real deal. I've dumped our curry in. What this does is it cuts out a lot of the added fat, because if you use just your traditional mayonnaise, there'd be a whole lot more fat there. So we have a really nice, rich color there for our dressing. Now, what I want to do is go on, and I'm the one in our group that likes to add a lot of nutrition. So that's why I put the egg in that's why I put the apple in our egg salad. I left the peel on, so we've got the fiber. But I'm also adding some finely chopped up celery pieces, some craisins. Now, you could add onion, raisin, anything. You can change it up however you want. And a little bit of pecans. You could use almonds or whatever you particularly like.
I like pecans.
Okay, so that works for you. Okay, we could roast those to bring out a little added flavor. But what I like about this is, if we had just a traditional egg salad and we didn't add all those colors, it'd be kind of bland looking. And so this is why I like to add some other flavors in
And the nuts
there.
and the celery will add some crunch.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
And
you
the-
like a little crunch?
She likes the
Okay,
crunch
you
in
like
her
the
egg
crunch.
salad. So, everybody's different about
Right.
their egg salad. So, this is one, we'd like to treat people to try out some different things. So, we get that nicely mixed up there. And people can, you can chop your eggs up however you want, but that's just what I did.
Okay.
And then add on our
That looks
dressing.
good.
Yeah. And, I encourage people at home when we're looking at, how much fat we're adding into things, sometimes what I'll do is I'll start with just a little bit of my dressing. I don't dump it all
Okay,
in at
okay.
first, but I put a little bit in, mix it in, and then I can decide, does it need more? And sometimes, sometimes things get goopy.
Oh,
Is
sometimes
that a
there's
word,
way
goopy?
too much salad
You just made it
dressing.
up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when
It's
there's
a highly
mayonnaise,
technical
it's more
term.
mayonnaise than actually
Right,
material.
right. And so,
So,
I actually didn't put it all in here today. And so, oops, kind of got a little overflow there.
that's all right.
There you go. There's always a splash zone when we're cooking and it's
Now,
summer celebration.
Amy, if you use that thick Greek yogurt, it would be more the texture of mayonnaise, I
it
suppose.
would,
But
it would be, yeah.
But then you really can use less if you use the thinner yogurt. It
Right.
would make it moist.
It's easier,
Uh-huh.
It spreads a lot easier because the Greek yogurt is a lot thicker, and that adds a lot of protein, which is a
Okay.
benefit if you're
a
looking
good
for
thing.
protein. Absolutely. So there you go. There you have it, and we'll be serving this for everybody that comes in to see the Kitchen Divas. And we'll have a lot of fun things to eat along with this particular egg dish.
Well, I tell you what, can we try this?
Are
Let's
you
try
sure?
it. I'm
Okay,
sure.
absolutely.
Let's
try it.
I like the idea of
Here's
the
your fork.
onion because I love it's weird, but onion and apple together and curry and onion
Yeah,
would be
so
have
you
to
would
be
really
good.
want to add
Yeah, I'm
that
gonna,
in.
I'm gonna try
I
this
would
There you
combination.
go.
I had
Tell
that
us.
before.
Now, if you're not sure, just make sure
No,
you
I'm
make
all right.
make sure you make a good face, Chris. 'Cause
I will. Of course I will.
Just kidding with you. So, what do you think?
That actually tastes pretty good.
You were surprised.
I'm surprised.
You're surprised.
I am surprised.
I do like it, but
I
I,
like
love
it.
sweet and savory together.
And I like the crunchy. Wow, I like this job. This is pretty good.
This is pretty fun, isn't
This
it?
is pretty
I
good.
like to cook on the job.
Good deal.
We don't have to clean up either. Here.
Right.
So that makes
That's
it
always
better.
good.
Right.
Mhm.
And let me ask you this.
Yes.
Okay, so do they have to have tickets when they come in?
Okay, with
see you cook.
the cooking demonstration that we do, we've kind of created a monster. We have a lot of people that like to come in. It is cool in there, so that kind of helps as well. What we're doing this year, we do our presentation every hour on the hour,
Okay.
beginning at 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. So we do it 7 times. And people do need to get an additional ticket. There's no cost for the
Okay.
additional ticket. It's just a slip of paper that reserves you a seat for a certain hour.
Okay.
At 9 a.m., we're going to give out 10, 11, and noon.
Okay.
At noon, we'll start giving out 1, 2, 3, and 4 p.m. So people don't.
And do they
will
give
have a
that out
chance.
at the kitchen or
We
at the
give it-
registration
We give
tent?
it out at the kitchen, right outside
Okay.
the door. So it's one of those things. We want to make sure as many people as possible have the opportunity to get a ticket. So we're
Sure.
spreading it through the day.
Sure. And we definitely want people to come in. You definitely
Absolutely,
do. 'Cause
absolutely.
Every year, I know people are trying to get in there to see what you are going to be cooking
enjoy
up. So I know they enjoy
They
it.
enjoy it. People
Yeah.
like cooking. They like to sample new things, and it's cool. So
That's
yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, I actually venture out and go to that every year too. So
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
never get to
Just
go to the cooking class.
grab
It's
a
always
quick
packed.
snack. We appreciate you being here.
Good to be
Food was
here.
Definitely good. Up next, Mr. D is out in the garden to give us an update on some problem areas.
One of the first problems I see out here is with our snap beans. If you'll notice the color of the snap beans, they're kind of yellow, which indicates that they are hungry for nitrogen. And I don't think these seed were inoculated with the rhizobium bacteria that legumes require in the soil in order to fix nitrogen from the soil. Therefore, to solve this problem next year, in a new site, you must inoculate the seed with rhizobium bacteria. Right now, you could probably hit it with a little bit of nitrogen to help a legume. You normally do not have to add nitrogen for legumes. Okay, got a couple of problems with the tomatoes that we have here. Clearly some tomato hornworm damage, and I'm going to, right here, you see a stem that's been completely defoliated. That's where a tomato hornworm has been. I'm not able to find the tomato hornworm, but they're very, very well camouflaged, extremely well camouflaged and hard to find. probably need to hit that with BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, to take care of that. We've also got a problem with early blight here. You see the bottom leaves on this plant turning brown and dying. I'm going to snap this one off so that we can see it a little closer, but that is a symptom of early blight where the lower limbs start to die. It slowly moves up the plant, and eventually the total plant will be defoliated. So need to put these on a spray schedule to control early blight every 7 to 10 days with a fungicide that contains either chlorothalonil, Daconil, Bravo, Maneb, Zineb. About every 7 to 10 days will not cure this problem, but will stop it from spreading to the unaffected foliage. You know, one of the main problems I see here is we might have done too good a job at creating well-drained raised beds. The very fact that beds are raised tends to reduce drainage issues, and we probably, I understand we used 50% topsoil and a 50% mix that has bark in it, and this soil is extremely well drained, and it's probably almost impossible for these plants to get enough water. In a situation like this, I would probably recommend going with topsoil. If you have a good topsoil that is a silt loam, silt loams are what we primarily have in this Memphis area, and they are inherently well-drained soils. If you have a very heavy clay soil, then you would probably need to do what we've done here. The way to solve this problem, obviously you can't replace the soil, but we could put a sprinkler system in here or a drip tape that we know exactly how much water is put out. I would definitely use a rain gauge, measure how much water you're putting out here, and you probably need a ½ inch of water every 3 days on this type of raised bed situation.
There are a number of gardening events going on in the next couple of weeks that might interest you. Here are just a few in our area. All right, we just had our cooking demonstration. That was good, by the way, Amy. We appreciate that.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Okay, now let's talk about some other things that are going on at Summer Celebration, Ms. Carol.
Well, our theme this year is Go Wild.
Go wild.
We're going to go wild, you know, which is very hard for me to do.
Really?
I love the nature part of it, and I'm just excited about the fact that I think most gardeners are very interested in the other critters, but we're going to kind of take it to another level.
Okay.
You know, yeah, we're going to talk about the pretty things, the butterflies and the bluebirds, but we're also going to talk about some of the fierce, toothy critters. So one of our presentations will be on the predators of Tennessee.
Okay.
And there's kind of been a movement where the foxes, for example, are actually more prevalent now in the suburban settings than they are in the country because of the pressure from the coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are glimpsing foxes now on the golf courses or even in their own yards. And I don't know, just, you know, are they curious? I mean, do fox mate for life? How many kits do they have? Does the father help raise them? You know, I mean, people really, I think, are curious about this kind of thing. So this guy, Eric Pelrin from UT Martin, he said, now, if you want me to talk about how to get rid of them, I'm not your guy. And I said, no, we want somebody to talk about the benefits of predators. And of course, things like fox and bobcat generally eat a lot of mice and rodents, and they are more beneficial. Now, fox do love fruit and have been known to snatch tomatoes out of people's gardens.
How about that?
So there is a little bit of yin-yang there, a little balance going on, but a lot of people don't realize the difference, say, in the gray and red fox, because gray fox, for example, can truly climb trees. They are a canine that can climb a tree. So I think it's just fun for people to kind of learn about this and the bobcat. Along those lines, years ago I heard Alan Houston down at Ames Plantation do a talk called Tennessee Then and Now, and it was mesmerizing. And he basically played a pioneer who was looking around himself in the Tennessee wilderness and the creatures that he faced at that time as a pioneer, which would have been black bear and cougar and wolf and elk, you know, so it was a completely different setting.
Right.
And the hawks that we protect now were going to eat his chickens that he depended on to get his family through the winter. So there was this whole complete different attitude about it that has kind of reversed now over the years, because now we try to realize the benefit of these creatures. So I love that talk, and he's going to repeat that for us at Summer Celebration.
Okay. Man, that sounds pretty interesting.
I think this will be a lot of fun. And along that line, the raptors. Years ago, I found an injured red-shouldered hawk in the woods when I lived out near Luray. And New Year's Day, you know, what do you do? And I ended up taking it to Dr. James Huggins at Union, and he's a rehabber. And some of the ones that cannot be released in the wild, he takes around and does a show and tell. So it's really fun to get up close to those giant birds and see how fierce and strong they are. And along those lines, we're going to have a guy bring snakes, and a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm not going to that tent."
Snakes.
And we joked earlier about putting them in the same tent because it'd be a good snack for the raptors to chow down on a few snakes. But that is Dr. Tom Blanchard, who directs the Reelfoot Environment Center, and he's going to have a snake handler who comes with him. Although Tom is actually going to talk as an indoor talk on the frogs and toads of Tennessee.
Okay.
Which most people like. They'll
Sure
they'll deliberately run over a snake, but they'll dodge the toad. So that's kind of good. So those are just a few of the more fearsome. For people who want to attract the beneficials, the butterflies, I'm going to do the walk and talk on the best plants for butterflies. Some people know Dr. Pitts, David Pitts, the UT Martin professor, who's written a book on Tennessee bluebirds. Wow. And he's done real interesting research, like examines their scat to see what they eat during the wintertime. And he does a real interactive talk. Our master gardeners have had him, and he's a fascinating speaker.
Okay.
Polly Rooker from Tennessee Wildlife is going to have boxes outside, plans for boxes for attracting the different birds. And of course, there's lots of good birds you want to attract to your garden that'll help with the insects. So
I guess people are more interested in learning more about birds.
Oh,
I find that to be true more and more these days.
There's a huge interest about birds. I belong to the Tennessee Bird Chat group.
Okay.
And I know just enough to be dangerous, but I could learn a whole lot more.
Okay. Any other exciting events going to be happening in Summer Celebration?
Well, I think so. You know, the one thing when I built my house, I was really fascinated by the different woods in Tennessee. And I found a place that sells things like persimmon and sycamore. And I didn't know they test for pressure, how strong wood is, by seeing how many pounds it takes to mash a steel ball into the board. So persimmon is our hardest wood. We're going to have a speaker come. He's going to do an outdoor presentation on showing you the different woods, which are the most important woods in Tennessee as far as the market potential and the different aspects, the different qualities of each wood, which I find fascinating.
Okay, man, that sounds good. Now look, let's tell the people again, when is it, where is it, is there a fee?
There is a $5 fee. It is at the Experiment Station in Jackson, the West Tennessee Research and Education Center. It starts at 9. The gates open at 9. The programs don't actually start till 10, but if you want to shop at the plant sale, which has got some very cool plants, lots of great plants, then you'll want to come on in early. But you can shop anytime throughout the day. The master gardeners will be running that booth. It'll go till 5. You can go inside and outside. So if you get hot outside, you can cool off inside, and just a ton. You can access you'll have the website on the thing, so they can look at it there. And our Facebook page, UT Gardens Jackson, we're featuring some of the plants throughout the next couple of weeks that you might be interested in buying, and then little snippets about the speakers.
Okay, that'll be real good. And come by the diagnostic tent. I'll be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
People forget
Come by and say
about
hi.
that.
Yeah.
Bring a pest, an insect, a disease, or a plant to be identified. I think that's a great resource that isn't fully utilized at this field day.
It's a lot of fun. And
Yeah,
definitely
it
enjoyed
is.
doing it. Always honored to be asked to do it too.
We love you
All right.
having you there.
Good deal. Y'all ready for the Q&A?
Oh, sure.
This is the Q&A session.
All right.
Hey, if you got something to say, just jump right on there with us.
I can't.
I know you're
I know
dangerous
enough
now.
about the plant things to be very dangerous, so maybe I'll just see what I can learn.
All right, well, here's the first viewer email from Carmen. How do you get rid of creeping Charlie? I've tried and tried without success. It just seems like it comes back each time with a vengeance. Also, how do you go about doing it when there are 2 huge fig trees within the area needing treatment or attention? Well, here's creeping Charlie, as you see on the screen. It's ground ivy. Okay. It tells me a couple of things about your site. 1, poor drainage. Okay. Number 2, shady. All right. So what you need to do, get some sunlight in there if you possibly can, or improve your drainage, because ground ivy, and you probably know this, is in the mint family. Okay. Has the square stem. Very difficult to control next to wild violets. Okay.
It's harder than wild violets are harder.
Wild violets are harder than your ground ivy. So it's pretty tough. Actually has a beautiful bluish, purplish flower. Looks real nice. Grows by stolons. So it's a
Like
perennial.
mints.
Yes, it's a perennial. If you must use a chemical, make sure it's a broadleaf weed killer. Broadleaf weed killer, and that will control it for you. It's going to take multiple applications, but it should get the job done for you.
I think that's what a lot of people think one time should do it. With a lot of these weeds, it's going to be the repeat. Keep watching it.
Yeah,
As
you
soon
gotta
as you
keep
see it, nail
watching
it
it.
again, nail it again.
Yeah, because it starts to grow, of course, in the in the spring, flourishes during the summertime. So you got to get it pretty quick, because it is very difficult to control. And if you have those huge fig trees there, be careful. Okay, you don't want any drift or anything on those fig trees. So there you have it. Okay, here's our next question. How do I kill squash bugs organically? Who wants to try that one first? Wait, just pick them off?
Well, there is an option if you just have a few squash plants. I mean,
Okay.
that wouldn't be optional if you have a lot.
I like the 2 brick method.
I knew you were
But you
gonna
got
say
to
it.
watch your fingers when you slap the bricks together, because you'll mash your fingers. But that also along the same guidelines.
Yeah.
Row crop covers won't kill them, but you can protect them. They do a lot of that with the organic farming community. They cover and keep them from actually getting in there to start with.
Okay. And good sanitation practices help.
Right,
'Cause
because they
they
overwinter. They overwinter in the ground. So, yeah. So that's mostly preventive. They want to kill them though.
They want to kill them.
But
Well,
when that fails,
All right, when it fails,
when the
what
organic
happens?
When they
methods
fail.
fail,
When it-
according to the Red Book,
Okay.
bifenthrin, S-phenvalerate, or permethrin will take them out.
Okay.
And
You
then
may
they-
have to do it repeatedly because they're strong pliers,
Yes.
and especially during harvest time, which we're in the middle of wheat harvest right now,
Yes.
and many times when farmers harvest large fields, then you'll have those kind of stink bugs and things like that will come in from those fields because they've lost their habitat. But these pesticides will.
And of the organic pesticides, the pyrethroids, like you said, they're
Yeah.
strong. It would have to take a
Well,
good
permethrin
while
is from
Yeah.
mums, chrysanthemums.
is it?
Pyrethroid,
Pyrethroids, yeah.
the true pyrethroid, not the synthetic pyrethroids,
Right,
but the
right.
true
True.
pyrethroid.
Yes, it is.
are from
Neem,
chrysanthemums.
I've heard, doesn't really work on them well.
Okay. Okay. I always get a question about that. Can I use the neem oil for the squash bug? So there you have it. All right. Here's our next question, and we're getting this one a lot this time of the year. Chipmunks are everywhere in my garden. What is the best way to get them to leave? We want them to leave.
Get a Jack Russell Terrier.
I've heard that one a couple of times. Yeah, the Jack Russell. Mr. D, anything that you know about?
You know, Jack Russell's undoubtedly the best. You know, you might have some temporary relief using naphthalene. You know, moth crystals
Yeah.
mothballs might give you
Uh-oh.
some.
Oh, she cringes. Hold
She doesn't
on.
like that?
No, it's
I'm
actually,
talking-
it can contaminate groundwater and naphthalene. I don't like people using the moth crystals.
They didn't say anything about and don't contaminate the groundwater.
Oh,
They
okay.
just-
Well, you can get to that. Well, it's dangerous for your pets. And
Okay.
I'm such a pet-oriented
Yes.
person that I don't want.
Well, then
anything-
there's another route that works pretty well, and that's trapping them.
Yes,
If you
that's-
trap them, you can use live traps, and if you use the correct bait and a good way, you know, set the traps where the chipmunks frequent, which is you know
Yeah,
where that
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And for baits, let's see, chipmunks,
You like
nuts, peanut
peanut
butter,
butter.
bread,
Yeah.
shelled corn, unroasted peanuts, rolled oats, apple
Roasted.
Ooh, making me
apple
hungry.
cubes, you know, and sunflower seeds. But a good thing a lot of folks don't realize with these live traps, if you will set the live trap, open the live trap up and put food in it, and leave it there 2 or 3, 4 days, and let the critters get used to going in there and eating and coming out, then you're going to be more successful. But then then you got to decide what you're going to do with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
that's the
feed them
hard
to your
part.
pet king snake. Actually,
go. That'll
snakes are
work.
good control for chipmunks.
Oh,
if you
boy.
do
If
have
you
good-
take them down the road and
friendly
turn them
garden
loose, they'll
snakes.
probably beat
They'll
you back
find
to the
it.
house.
Yeah, they'll find their way back for sure.
The rat snakes and all do take care of them.
That's right.
All right, we have a few seconds left. What is the best way to control scales on my maple tree? The scales are round and dark red in color.
That's probably Lacanium scale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hard to control.
Is there any need?
The horticulture oil, if you want to try it organically, Did the imidacloprid?
Yes, Merit is
Merit
labeled. You
knows
can
we'll
use that
take care of
between
that.
June and August.
When the crawlers are,
Where the crawlers are out, because the mothers have already had their crawlers, and the crawlers are out there now looking for, food to eat, leaves. So this would be a good time to try to control those.
and that's an easy one to use because you apply it to the ground and it takes up the plant, so you don't have to spray.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. All right, thank you. That's all we have time for today. Don't forget, you can send a letter or an email with your gardening questions. I'm Chris Cooper. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us next time for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by Good Winds Landscape and Garden Center in Germantown since 1943 and continuing to offer its plants for successful gardening with 7 greenhouses and 3 acres of plants, plus comprehensive landscape services. International Paper Foundation, the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.